So yeah, that sounds fantastic, Becky. I love the digital work experience idea as well. It's just a really, it's a really great way for organisations to access work experience. I know a lot of healthcare businesses scratch their heads because there are clinical regulations and restrictions over what you can and can't do within a surgical environment. So I love the idea of being able to provide that window into, a day in the life of a dentist or a doctor or a surgeon in a safe way online, which can really immerse the candidate in the brand and the purpose of the organisation. So yeah, really, really, really interesting.
And also
Um,
you can scale it to so many more students, and there's a scaling opportunity, and there's also a talent pooling opportunity there as well. So for me, it's a complete win-win. And also, what better advocacy than a student to gain a certification after they've actually gone through that training, and you've got a certification on LinkedIn. So it's a complete win-win.
Yeah, no, I love
Just
it. And I wonder, obviously, against the backdrop of all this innovation, there's some, evergreen elements of early years recruitment, campus recruitment, and so on and so forth. One of the innovations that I found worked really well in some of the businesses that I've supported previously is where, we would work very smart to identify successful grads from a certain university, and we would take that grad back into the university to help them win engagement, because we often found that peer-to-peer engagement really had much better cut through than just somebody from the recruitment team going in, and we could incentivize those people with referral bonuses and so on and so forth. And I wondered, Ollie, in the world of technology and where people are able to access all this information online, how is that affecting the more traditional routes to market such as campus recruitment? How do you go about balancing those activities to get the best people into your pipeline?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just obviously every student, every candidate has a phone which they'll be on for a couple of hours a day, and they will indeed look at their future employers to see how they do on Glassdoor. They'll go onto TikTok to see what are people talking about them, and they'll also go onto their website to see how can I find out more about the roles that they have available. So having a really clear, easy to navigate website is really important. But there will also be roles where, let's say, for assurance, for audit, for tax, or areas of consulting where they think they have an understanding of it, but actually, or they think they have a particular idea of what it is, but actually it might be very different. And I'm going to use an example here, which is another piece of Becky work that unfortunately, I only saw from the outside, but was fantastic, which was the Adventure Awaits piece. So this was launched in, I think it was 23, and this was essentially a digital career centre, really aimed at primarily making sure that we're equipping candidates with all the resources they need to make a really good application through different mediums, from podcasts to videos to text, but actually as well, like making an effort to really demystify as well some of the different opportunities that we had. So within assurance, within tax, to make sure that candidates that came in with a particular, what they thought was understanding of assurance, actually by going through this digital, immersive and actually interactive environment, they were actually able to really change their perception and really help guide candidates towards making an application towards a program where previously they might have thought that auditors sit in a room and count beans for what is like six to 8 months, where actually it's something where you're proactively engaging with candidates and engaging with clients, and working with them to solve their problems. I think another example that I would use as well would be I'm really cheerleading Becky here, but another activity we did a couple of years ago, which was called the Tech Consulting Virtuality Internship. So in the tech market back in 22, the market was very challenging in the sense that it was a candidate-centric market. It was very difficult to differentiate EY to some of our competitors. To really demonstrate us as a tech brand, we're very much known as like assurance or tech brand. So I can't get my words out, an assurance or tax brand rather than something in the tech market. And for us, we really needed to be able to kind of have something unique and different within that market. So we launched something called the virtual reality internship. And within that, we developed a scenario-based example where interns got to really experience what it'd be like working directly with clients in a virtual reality environment. They got to work collaboratively with their teams within the virtual reality headset. And they then got to pitch back their ideas to a panel of business volunteers in very much a drag and den environment. So by doing so, we were using a really innovative bit of technology in a different way. Candidates really got to learn about the different types of projects they could be experiencing while working in EY. At the same time, the business got to engage with interns in a much longer and interactive way than they might have done so within the business, whilst also making sure that all the candidates taking part in the internship had a consistent, excellent experience.
Yeah.
By the way, I can't take full credit for this, Ollie. You were definitely a big project leader behind the virtual reality internship program, which was absolutely amazing to see implemented, and incredible experience, and the conversions were out of this world.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic to hear. There's so much innovation, so much tech being put to creative use there. You've mentioned a few things in terms of, digital storytelling, gamified assessments, virtual job fairs, lots of really, really cool things. What would both of you advise, businesses that, or people that may be listening in that don't have the sort of budgets that you probably are able to access at EY? I still think there's loads of cool innovation you could do perhaps more on a shoestring. I was curious, if you were to maybe think about advising some of the listeners today who don't have the budgets, what would your advice be around how they can innovate their early career strategy, maybe at a lower price point?
Take this one. So I call it scrappy innovators. So you can always, innovation is really making a change, and they could be small changes or big changes. I think there's a definite opportunity around brand advocacy projects and programs. So I'll give you a couple of examples. And some of these companies are quite big, but actually you can do this on a shoestring. I've also seen it happen as well. So around best employee advocacy initiatives. So you've got BDO at the moment, where they wanted to encourage partners and staff to use social media more and proactively, especially on LinkedIn. So it's getting your hiring managers to post on LinkedIn around initiatives, around roles, around the culture, and sharing those posts on LinkedIn. And I think that is an area of opportunity. And then Sky, for example, which I really like, they wanted to show the more human side of working for such a big company like Sky. And so they implemented Life at Sky, and it reached about 10 million views on social channels. So again, is there an opportunity to bring more the human elements? I think sometimes we can use all of this tech, and I'm a big fan actually of rehumanizing recruitment. Have we gone too far with AI? There is a place for it, but I think that young people will also have more connectivity with the human side. We know that in COVID and post-COVID, young people want more hybrid working, and they need to learn. They need to be in an environment where there are other people, more senior people to learn from. So I think connecting your employer brand strategy to leveraging your human side, or hiring managers or employees, is a really good opportunity. And at EY, we were looking at brand ambassadors back on campus. So do you have existing interns, for example, that you can help to incentivize to go back on campus and promote you as an employer? And there's also an opportunity to think about TikTok. So where are your young people at the moment hanging out? Do you have any previous hires that are on TikTok or on other social media channels that perhaps are influencers that you can tap into? And dare I say it, you've got other companies in the Big Four that are running advocacy projects where they're getting employees basically to share and reactions to specific posts that perhaps the early careers team are posting. And so all of that can be done relatively at low cost, and I think that's a really good starting point also to kind of re-energize your workforce, get engagement, but also to build a bit of fun and activation around it.
Yeah, and I would agree. Some of the organisations that I've supported have had a lot of success just by using their existing resources in a really smart way and getting them to go back in and advocate physically and digitally. And I find that peer-to-peer advocacy can be the most effective lever to pull in a lot of these situations, and it doesn't have to cost the world to deliver on it. So yeah, thanks for that. It's really, really, really wonderful. And then I guess final thoughts around, where you can invest a lot of energy in it, and there's always a risk around the competitive nature of graduate recruitment we touched on earlier on. I wondered, as we close out, if you would like to share any thoughts on what you can do to really keep your talent in the pipeline and manage the risk of other organisations perhaps tempting people away that you've worked so hard to nurture. I wondered if you'd got any thoughts on innovation or cool things organisations can do to really keep that talent locked into your pipeline and avoid the risk of candidates withdrawing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've actually just come off a major project looking at exactly this, so I'm happy to talk about this. And just to refer to what Becky was speaking about earlier, like candidates or offer holders, they are typically less loyal. They will generally go and join multiple different assessment processes, get a number of different offers in front of them. And frustratingly for us as an employer, they'll wait until the final weeks until we can't actually backfill the position anymore before they make. And especially for EY as an example, one of the big four, a lot of the time they have multiple offers from the big four. So the really big challenge for us is how do we differentiate ourselves? How do we educate, engage, and excite candidates as they're kind of going through that process? And how do we ensure, like, during that really kind of quite lengthy period that you can have in student recruitment of anywhere between 3 to 6, sometimes more than 12 months, how do you ensure that you are continuing to engage with your talent throughout that time so that they are not only excited to join, but also they are an EY or your company ambassador for when they're out on university campuses? So I think one of the things that we did over this last year, we implemented a new piece of technology called Emborder, which, really in short, is a piece of tech which allows us to disseminate comms in a single platform, but allows us to embed things like videos, different like vox pops, links to social media, so that candidates going through it, they've got a really engaging and exciting way of kind of digesting and learning about EY and about the company. And was also really an excellent space for us to be able to share both digital and in-person events that we had directly with the business. So I think number one is making sure you're getting your content and your copy right, sharing it with lots of different mediums, but actually it's in a single space. I think second, it's making sure that you are connecting the business with your offer holders really as early as possible, because at the end of the day, these are the people that they're going to be working with, and these are the people that will be able to really get them excited and get them engaged about their future employer. So what I typically would advise, and what we did, is as soon as they had an offer, we encouraged a buddy, a member of the business, to reach out to congratulate them, to connect them to offer holder events that we would have locally at their target office, and to make sure that the relationships that offer holder built with that business, that member of the business, that actually that continued, and actually that level of loyalty, we could really look to try and increase that as much as we possibly can. I think lastly, there's loads of things that I can say on the subject, but I think making sure that there's lots of learning resources for those that want to continue learning and developing about the different insights and trends that might be for their respective business area. And it's making sure that the other side of the pre-boarding journey, like the onboarding piece, the pre-employment checks, the screening piece, all of that needs to be really, really easy to follow. It needs to be efficient. And actually, it needs to be very much like we're giving what we need from the candidate, the offer holder, as really as easy as possible, actually, so that they're not chasing us or they're not panicking in the weeks and months in advance of their start date. So that is really, really key here. So I think starting as early as possible and making sure that journey is as exciting as you can as they progress through that process. And then one final point, just what Becky was talking about before, you can actually, these offer holders, in that time that they have, that 3 to 12 month time, this is like existing influencers, existing talent that can be your brand ambassadors on campus or with schools. So actually looking to see how if you can invite them on to any sourcing traction events you might have, seeing if they might share any digital content on their own social media channels, and actually also seeing if they can refer any of their networks to see if they might want to make an application. So actually they are both an asset to you, but also those people that you should be really looking after as much as you possibly can.
Wonderful. Thanks, Ollie. Some really, really helpful tips and advice there. It's been a really, really great discussion. I think lots and lots of ideas that hopefully people can take away and have a think about implementing. Becky, any final thoughts from you as we close the session out today?
So I agree with everything Ollie has said on this subject. Just from a practical point of view, we actually have an early careers learning toolkit in the Hive, and something that is quite complex, and this is, I guess, the difference between experienced hire and also early careers hiring, is that within the early careers team there tends to be much more focus on predictive modelling, particularly when you are recruiting seasonally and through sort of rolling periods. And so I think it's really important that recruiters really think about the MLO model. So this is the most likely outcome. There is a calculator in the toolkit that helps you to do that, but it's really important to look at the funnel. So throughout the recruitment season, to look at the funnel and to really think about the most likely outcome. So forecasting the fill rate, towards the end of the recruitment season. So you can manage the fluctuations in recruitment demand better. You can manage any sort of softening in demand or even business growth. And it also ensures that you can look at things like, how many roles you had open last year versus, the number of roles you filled last year, versus what you filled, this year, or what you're likely to fill. So, and that will help you to look at any risk around recruitment, to be able to go back and start promoting roles or opportunities. So there is a lot of data behind early careers, which is around modelling, getting that funnel looking like it is a funnel, not too sharp at the end, not too fat at the top. So a funnel needs to look like a funnel. So for me, the data is really, really important, which will then help you to really leverage any other strategies, such as whether you need to enhance your employer branding, your activation, whether you need to really dial up your pre-boarding experience, because actually there's a greater risk there. So yeah, have a look at the early careers hiring learning toolkit. It's really great. It's 23 pages long, and it goes through all aspects of what we've talked about today.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Becky. Thanks, Ollie. Enjoy the rest of your day. We hope you enjoyed watching, and join us again soon.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks so much.